Hey, y'all know what time it is, man. CFB morning. I got a stranger in the building. Bye. I got a stranger in
What's
the
up, people?
building. What's happening, man? My guy Moon is in the building. Moon, what's happening?
Everything is good. Wavy on this end. I'm happy to be here. Shout out to CFB Nation. Been on our CFB Nation tour, so give a special shout out to the people in Michigan, Georgia Southern, Virginia Tech. You know who you are. You know what's up at Boston College yesterday for
Yep.
their game,
Yes,
close one against Florida State. So life is good in an interest voice. And shout out to the community and people. We're gonna be keeping up with you throughout the course of the show in the chat. So if you have any questions for us, make sure you drop them in the chat and go CFB. Hashtag go CFB.
And please manage with us today. Moon got to get Xfinity out there to the crib. We don't know what's going on with the internet, but it's going on. Moon, are you ready, man? It's about to be a crazy show. I don't even think they know what we about to get ourselves into. All right, let's do it. First thing first, of course, we gotta start. We gotta start with Colorado's versus Colorado State. College football gave us 14 hours. You hear me? 14 hours of jam-packed action yesterday. How can the NFL compete with this? But Colorado versus Colorado State, it kept us up to 2 a.m. in the morning, but it was worth the price of admission. Let's see this barn burner in Boulder. Oh, man,
in this game, it was personal. It's been personal. We're watching Well Off Media. Shout out to Well Off Media, by the way. They keep us up to date with everything that we need to know from Colorado from their vantage point. But coming into this game, when I saw the video, I know you saw it too. Coach Prime said, "You know what? I'm about to order all of y'all shades. Everybody come up here, drip out. See y'all set the shades on. He got his own controversies going on right now. By the way, shout out to him. But they came out, and it was personal. And right from the jump, it was fireworks galore. Some of my early things from this game is for Colorado State on their end. Their head coach made some comments coming into the game. And KT, I'll let you elaborate on those and tell the people.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting comments heading into the game. I know Coach Norvell for Colorado State, he says, hey, when I'm having a conversation with grown-ups, I take my hat off, I take my shades off, and it's one of those moments where you have an audience, you're talking to somebody, you want to build the brand of Colorado State. And granted, Coach Norvell had them boys ready to play.
Absolutely.
Had them ready to play. And then we got somebody in the comment section. Shout out to JD. He said that Colorado, as soon as they get their butts handed to them by a decent team, everybody will jump off the content bandwagon. First thing first,
the
JD.
Only reason they are bandwagon is because these black coaches.
First thing first, JD. It's not a content bandwagon. We've been big on Colorado. I think you should go look at a bunch of our previous content to show that we've been big on Colorado. I've said from day one that the goal for Colorado is bowl eligibility. If they can do that in year one, then Coach Prime has done his job. They've had 15 losing seasons out of the last 20 seasons. They went 1-11 last year. So yes, them starting off the game 3-0 is a good thing. Yes, if they want to storm the field against a team that they were 24-point favorites by, then allow them to storm the field. All they've been seeing the last 15, 20 years is losing. There we have it. Moon, give me some of your early takeaways.
Early takeaways. This is personal for everybody involved from Colorado State, Colorado. It was chippy early before the game even started. Let's see. We got 11 penalties. We got multiple personal fouls. We got a dirty hit that came on Travis Hunter that ended up sending him to the hospital. Prayers up to Travis Hunter. We got 4 unsportsmanlike flags, and we got some after the whistle scuffles as well. And you got the rivalry game trash talk. So it was the makings of a beautiful college football game. If we take all the theatrics and all that stuff, like it's a rivalry game, so of course they're gonna be heated. But in the days leading up to this, we had the comment by Jay Norvell for Colorado State's head coach. And now, we come into this game and Colorado State has been in the shadow, even in spite of all the losing seasons. They've still been in the shadow of Colorado. They're a little brother in this situation. and they're coming into hostile territory at Folsom, and it was on and rocking early and often with Shiloh. I want you to hit the high step. It was the perfect opportunity for him to hit the high step, but one of my
he don't got the burners like his dad though.
no, he don't. He don't. And that's okay. And there's only one Coach Prime. There's only one prime time. But one of my initial takeaways is this: Henry Blackburn ever be allowed back at Folsom, or will he be allowed in Boulder, Colorado again after his late hit and Travis Hunter? He took Travis Hunter out of the game, and it's like taking two players away from Colorado's team. If you understand, even watching their games, you understand that he's playing offense and defense. You take both of those out of the equation now. It was in the third quarter, granted. Got to put context on it, but it still was a pivotal point in the moment of this game. And we even got some chippiness that happened. It like ramped up even more after that. Shedeur, of course, we got to talk about Shedeur. I mean, it's been dominated headlines over the first couple of weeks of the season, but it was Shiloh stepped up early and often with that pick, and the pick six that turned the tables. And from the Colorado State side of things, one of my key takeaways was that, when Clay Millen ended up going to the transfer portal, like, I expected Jay Novell to have an explosive passing game and everything with Colorado State. I mean, Torrey Horton ate last night. It seemed like Colorado didn't know how to adjust.
We're going to get into that. So there's been a question in the chat who had a better game yesterday between Fowler, Nichols, or Sanders. We will get to that question. I think that is a great question. I'm going to give you guys some of my early takeaways. First things first, this game was top building. Everybody was there. Somebody was there. Offset was in the building. The Rock was in the building. The media, a whole bunch of media in the building. So many rappers was in the building. Chauncey Billups was in the building. Kyle Lowry was in the building. Everybody who was somebody was in the building. So shout out to Dion bringing all of these people to Boulder. One of my earliest takeaways is that this Colorado line has been struggling to protect Shedeur Sanders. Some of it you can blame on Shedeur Sanders, not a lot of it, because he gets rid of the ball quickly. We seen after that first game with a clean pocket, 1.98. But a lot of it is just the protections, and he's taking hits. He's making a lot of these throws, knowing that he's going to get hit. That they're on the money. You address the Travis Hunter situation. Come on, man. That was a dot. That was a big league throw, and the fact that he communicates with Tom Brady as often as he communicates with Tom Brady, that Tom Brady will probably text him after the game is phenomenal. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now.
Shout out to y'all, man.
You were just about to get into him. You were going on a tangent. I loved it. I'm sorry I had to stop you. Talk about Torrey Horton. His stop.
Bro, I've been trying to tell people. For last, I don't know how long, bro. Really over this whole entire offseason. And this is not a school box for me. This is just, I'm telling y'all what I feel. Torrey Horton is a problem. He is a major problem. He is Mr. Get Open. He is Mr. Get the ball to me and let me go to work. He was right there chasing after him on the touchdown by Shiloh. But come on, bro. 14 on the Rams. I feel like everybody now knows who he is. 16 receptions, 133 yards, 8.3 yard average. Come on, bro. Now, that's from the Colorado State side. Like, I really love it. We talked about it a little bit before, but Braden Fowler, Nicolosi, their the quarterback for Colorado State, I think that they might have an answer. He's a freshman. He came in. I mean, he had some mistakes, of course. There's going to be some mistakes, but, like, come on, bro. There was no fear. He came into that hostile environment on fifth wow. And he said, you know what? Soft coverage, shallow cross me up, man. Let's just call mesh the entire game, and let's just get it busy, man. And that's what I like to see, man. 34 of 47, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns. Of course, he had 3 interceptions. But, man, for what it's worth, if you're a Colorado State fan, that had to be encouraging being able to see, especially since if you want to look at it from like a context perspective, since, we love to put context on everything. But from a context perspective, this game saw Colorado State come into this situation where this Rocky Mountain showdown is that feels like it got away from Colorado State. I mean, they had an 11-point fourth quarter lead at Folsom Field, and they're about to pull off a historic upset and being 23.5-point favorites, the Colorado Buffs, that is. And they saw that basically go to up in smoke. And it had to be damaging to find out after the game that Colorado State had a 99.4 win probability when Colorado got the ball back with 2 minutes and 6 seconds left, down 8 points and needing to drive basically 98 yards for the tying touchdown.
The drive.
They need a 2-point conversion, aka the drive. You know, so that's what happened, man.
So Moon. So I'm glad I had this in the doc. You've heard me talk about it. We've heard Nino talk about it. Shout out to my guy Nino. Shout out to CFB Prime. CFB Prime is one of the best college football shows in the nation. If you are missing that at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night, you are a casual fan. Point blank period. Every week he brings on a special guest. They talk about a team. It may not be your favorite team, but your team may end up playing that team, or your team is in a conference with that team. Make sure you check out CFB Prime. Me and Nina also got a show called Overreaction Mondays. I made sure we're not talking about anything we're talking about on Overreaction Monday. Tomorrow, we have a jam-packed episode. That's all I'm going to say. Nino is going to really get in his bag. But anyway, we knew the critics were coming. Lo and behold, we didn't know it would land right in our lap. And we get one the moment we opened the show. So talk to me about the critics.
Bro, they was up at 3 o'clock in the morning. East Coast time, talking about, I don't know, Colorado struggled last night. It's like, bro, whatever side you want to be on, the critic side, praiser side, supporter, you just have to admit one thing to be true. This is beautiful for college football.
It is.
This is beautiful for college football. You got my guy Mikey, a.k.a. Mikey B. Chillin', a.k.a. the director of CFB Nation, coming into the building, right, and saying, yo, I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning watching Colorado, my guy. Look what CFB Nation did to me. This is college football and why we love it. You know what I mean?
We got him.
We got him. He's building. But it's a beautiful thing for college football. I stand 10 toes down on that because it's all about storylines. One of the reasons why we love college football is storylines. Like, they are what make the games, the moments, the players, the rivalries. Just look at the game against Kansas State and Missouri. Like, Kansas State ended up losing on a 61-yard field goal game. Those two teams to play way more often. That's college football at its finest, bro. So, like, the critics, I feel like they just want to hate, and that's what they're good at. That's so they're gonna lean to it. But for the praiser side, it's great to see both sides of the spectrum come up. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have one without the other. And I think it's all adding to the beauty of college football.
For sure. I think it's amazing. I know we had a question asked earlier, who had the better game, Braden Fowler, Nicolzi, or Shedeur Sanders? I think that's a loaded question. It's a loaded question because we're gonna take stats away from the game. Mm-hmm. I felt like up into the last few drives in overtime, I will give that to Shedeur. But up to that point, I will have to give it to Braden. Like, yes, he did ended up throwing 3 interceptions, but made a lot of big time throws. I said this before. I said that TCU and their defense coordinator, Joe Gillespie, didn't do a good job at adjusting to the concepts that Colorado was doing. So they got what happened, what Colorado did to TCU is what Colorado State did to Colorado. Mesh concepts. Y'all gonna stay in this stupid defense. We're gonna show you, and we're gonna take advantage of it. So, up next for the Colorado Buffaloes, they got a tough one. They play the Oregon Ducks, and then Colorado State takes on Middle Tennessee. Moon, let's get into this next game. Oh man, we got so much.
About. That's why I tuned in. And then we got a little bit of fires on both of them, but this game was definitely interesting from Jump Street. There you see Jalen Milton for the pass, but I'll let you talk about your early takeaways first because I'm interested because I knew coming into the season DJ got a lot of criticism this year at Clemson.
Well,
But I know it's off script. But like, what was your thought process coming into this game for DJ specifically?
I just want to continue to see. We know what DJ you could do outside of the pocket. We know what DJ you can do as a runner. I want to see his development inside of the pocket. Granted, it's a working process, but I think he has two things that's going for with this Oregon State team. Oregon State, along with the Utahs, one of the most physical teams in the Pac-12, if we're being real. And then secondly, on top of that, he has Damian Martinez. Granted, he did have Will Shipley with Clemson, but Oregon State don't care how they win games. You remember when they beat Oregon last year, after they came back in that game versus Oregon, it was run left, run Riddle, run Mike. Oregon State's not afraid to do that. So they're not afraid to win an ugly style game. So DJU fits them perfectly. I just want to see the maturation process of DJU do it from the pocket. So that was some of the things I was looking at heading into this game.
I got good faith that that's going to happen and improve over the season. You know, they starting off in a good position right now, but let's get into like the actual game since we said this to DJ. But from Oregon State side, I feel like they really needed this game. They really did, because the more physical games that you can have in college football on a week-to-week basis, the better. I know there's injury elements part of it too, but you need that physicality against a team like San Diego State. And their coach came out and said it afterwards that they're a physical team. They can run the ball. They got some good players. They got a challenging scheme on defense, and they created problems on offense for Oregon State, forcing DJU into 2 interceptions on the day. It was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but this is a game that Arizona State needs as they about to get into the good things conference play, where it's going to have to fight and they're just going to have to grind. Like, they got their home crowd coming out in full force to support them. The season for the Beavers and their ranking being where it is, like, there's a lot of optimism around Oregon State. Like, as you can see in the highlights, you can just see how committed they are to the run game, and that is something that I really love. They got 2-headed monster in that backfield, really 3 if you include DJ.
Yeah,
I want to see more on the outside. Yeah, I want to see more on the outside, but I mean, I feel like Coach Smith has to be proud of his guys for scrapping out there and going back and forth. Like, they started off, hey, okay, it's 3-0. Now it's 6-0. Then it's like a 1-possession game. And then they start to pull away, like, more and more, like, as the game got on. Shout out to San Diego State. They've had an interesting schedule, to say the least, KT. But they need some credit too. Like, their scheme that they are running out there, especially on defense, is one to watch and pay attention to as we get later into the season. But they make it hard on teams, and you can't just come out there and say, you know, we're just going to out-physical y'all today, and that's how we're going to win. You're going to have to scheme, you're going to have to plan, and that's the reason why I feel like my takeaway is Oregon State needed this game for sure as they get into the thick of the conference play. What's your takeaways, bro?
I have pretty much similar thoughts to what you're saying. Oregon State, like you said, they're getting into conference play. I believe they have Washington State up next in Washington State. That'll be certainly a good test for them. What I'm liking is really just a balance, and they're seeming to get explosive plays. It's probably what I like most from this Oregon State team. We're seeing wide receiver Anthony Gold, 3 catches, 97 yards. That's 32.3 yards a clip with a longer 75. Also, Jack Velling, he had 2 catches for 51 yards. That's at 25 a clip. Silas Bolden, he had 3 catches for 41 yards, 13.7 yards a clip. I ain't even about to pronounce cuz name. Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Miyagi, 1 catch for 35 yards. And yes, if you're struggling to hear Moon, he's having technical difficulties. But like I said, no, you're good. It's not your fault. It's Xfinity's fault. we gonna blame them. but anyway, it was just good to see the big plays from the wide receivers. We know what the running game can do, and Damian Martinez is only getting 15 carries. I'd love to see him get 20, 22 totes a game, if I'm being real.
I bet it on Damian Martinez to get over 108 rushing yards and this man got 102. I'm checking in the fourth
Wow.
quarter. They had the spell running back in the game. I said, what is going on here? They just giving him some reps. Was that close to hitting on the parlay, bro. But on a bright note, speaking of parlay, I don't know if anybody would have predicted that we would have got a big man touchdown for the Oregon State offensive lineman. Hey, I was happy to see that. Shout out to Joshua Gray. We rock with you, and the big man touchdown here at CB Nation and CB1.
Super dope. So up next, like I mentioned earlier, Oregon State takes on Washington State. The game is in Washington State. And then also the San Diego Aztecs take on the Broncos of Boise State. So both of those should be very good games. Now we're about to head to West Lafayette, Indiana to see what's up with Hudson Card and the Boilermakers of Purdue. Heading into this game, the all-time series is 1-1. Both teams are looking to break the tie. But before we get into this segment, got something I want to talk about. Moon, you got something you want to talk about? I think I got something I want to talk about. So before we get to the segment, Syracuse, right? They played Purdue yesterday. Guess who Syracuse play next? They play this team, the Black Knights, who look really good, versus a UTSA team on Friday night. So there's a show on CFB Nation called The Armory. Like I said, if you are a Black Knight fan or you are a Syracuse Orange fan, you should be watching that show because our guy, Coach, breaks these games down. He gives you the key matchups, and he do it in such a non-biased way because there ain't no way, if I'm a fan of a team, that joint ain't going to be non-biased. We're going to talk 95% about the team that I want to talk about, and it'll be 5%. Coach tries his best. Really tries his best to keep that thing about 50-50. It may be 55-45, but that's as good as you're going to get. So make sure you guys check out The Armory. That episode will be dropping tomorrow as he talks about Army game versus UTSA, and then he'll preview that Syracuse game. So I just wanted to get into that before we talk about this next game. So Syracuse, Purdue, you ready, Moon?
Yes, sir. Hey, Purdue, put the big in front of the Purdue. Can't do that this week though. Last week we could do that because I played Virginia Tech and besides the rain delays and the weather being out of the world, that game was the clutch win, y'all. So we came into this situation with high hopes for Purdue. Y'all playing at home, we playing at West Lafayette. Come on, bro. And then the guy that's on the thumbnail happened.
Dog.
You're not familiar with him.
Hold on, did you did you see this in Garrett Strader? Like, I don't.
You saw it in spurts, like over the past couple of seasons. Like you saw it in spurts.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say that it was like I predicted him to do that. Like his prop bet yesterday was like only like 48 rushing yards. Like I didn't expect him to go crazy the way he did, but extending the plays, taking off in the turbo boost. That man must be friends with Sonic because he was over there hitting a jetpack. His new nickname might as well be Jimmy Neutron because he got a blast. And he was over there chicken and plowing through all of Purdue's defense. And at the end of the day, when you can walk into the end zone like that, touched, that's how we start off the game. To me, that's when it spelled the end for Purdue. We got them arguing with each other like, who was supposed to have contain? All of y'all.
Who is this Purdue team? Like who are they?
No, bro.
Because we seen them Fresno State week 1. I wasn't impressed at all. Week 2 versus Virginia Tech. Granted, we don't really know what Virginia Tech, who they are. I know the biggest issue they have, they couldn't even run the ball on ODU, and they haven't been able to run the ball on anybody. Mm-hmm. But they look pretty damn good versus Virginia Tech. Like, who is this Purdue team? Like, is this something that they're able to fix? Are they missing Coach Brom that much? What's going on?
I think it's the last thing you said. Because, you talk about the culture element of it. Like, that part is where I look at it. Like, when you talk about the offense, and of course we could talk about Garrett Strader, but Syracuse defense was all in the backfield and quarterback pressures galore. It was just uncomfortable for Hudson Card. Like, they stretched the field and everything, and they got some, clutch play like that. for example, where they converted in the red zone, which was great to see. So you get highlights of Purdue, and you're like, man, when y'all locked and loaded like this, it's actually cool to see, especially in the Big Ten. But when you have moments like on the flip side, where you're letting Garrett Trader go for 194 5 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns.
That's crazy.
He set the school record for most rushing scores in the game by a quarterback.
It,
And literally, he could have broke it even further if he chose not to slide. I won't get too much into that because I don't want to make Purdue fans mad, but I think it's noteworthy to mention Garrett Schrader's rushing total was second most by Syracuse quarterback, trailing only Eric Dungy's 200-yard outing in the 2018 opener at West Michigan. So the performance that we just saw last night is something that doesn't happen that often. Now, he didn't just light it up through passing, but he lit up for the air too, like you see right there. And that's when my problem becomes with Purdue. Look at that. They over there getting bullied. How are you letting that happen? It's just out physical them. And to be honest, Syracuse looked dominant in the first half, and Purdue hurt themselves because they had 2 fumbles and everything. But you going up 21-7 right before halftime, it just looked dominant. And when you can say that the Syracuse offense hit 10 chunk plays, 7 on the ground, 3 through the air, that's showing that Syracuse is hitting their stride. And we still have major questions about Purdue, their quarterback situation. Hey, and guess what, KT? We
What?
got a chance to see about Marlo Wax. Shout out to Marlo Wax.
Yeah, it's funny. Coach had asked, "Yo, who are some of the like game breaking players I should be looking for in Syracuse?" And one of the names that Nino mentioned, I believe it was the first name he mentioned, was Marlo Wax. And I was telling him that like I enjoy talking to Marlo Wax. I was like, Marlo, I was saying, in fact, Garrett Strader was laughing at me and Marlo's accent because he's from Maryland. So it was just phenomenal that you had brought him up. I got a question for you, and I got a question for the chat. Chat, who's the best conference in college football right now? I'm sure a lot of people would before the season say Big Ten, SEC. For my money right now, nothing is more exciting than the Pac-12. And the ACC is doing pretty good as well. Let me tell you why. The landscape of the ACC is shaping out well. Louisville, Duke, North Carolina, Syracuse, Miami, Florida State, and Wake Forest are all 3-0. Moon, what do you think about that?
I would say that the best conference in the entire land is the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
Just from where we are right now, you can go from top to bottom. Even the teams that's at the bottom is like will run for their money. Just look at what Washington State did to Auburn a couple of weeks ago. So I would say Pac-12 is the best conference. It's the conference that I would put my money on as far as like them having the most quarterback. They have the most quarterbacks that are ready, like right now. They have the best quarterback play in the land. So that already makes them superior.
I would agree.
And their teams are physical. Like at the bottom of it, I know it's horrible to see Arizona State take a loss last night like that. You get 0 points, and then you have your random moment where like some of the people at the bottom of the Pac-12 don't show up. But for what it's worth, to have that many teams ranked for the AP poll drops, Ford already dropped his rankings, and we'll get to that a little bit later if we got some time. But for what you said about the ACC, how many teams did you mention? 4?
It was 1, 2,
Wake
3,
Forest,
4, 5,
Wake
6, 7.
Forest.
Yep.
Duke is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
We got North Carolina.
Yep.
Louisville. I didn't think that was going to be the case heading into the season. In Florida State, of course. Clemson, that first game is Duke. That was, I don't even want to go back down memory lane, but that was interesting pill to have to swallow for Clemson Tiger fans all around the nation. But for what it's worth, I think the ACC is creeping up slowly and surely. Like, I didn't expect Boston College to come out and break the school record for most penalties in the game. But they were 2 points
Yeah.
away from beating Florida State
Right.
at home. Like, those are bright spots and bright signs when I look at it. And then when you add the ACC getting a dub over Purdue in the Big Ten,
Yeah.
I like that. You know,
And they've been doing well against the SEC as well. Well, we've come to the end of the episode. this has been. We're definitely hoping that we can do this a lot more often. It's gonna be difficult because we're on the road so much, but maybe Sunday mornings is a time that we can do this, Moon.
for
Moon,
sure.
Moon, let them know where they can find you at. We gonna get up out of here.
You can find me on Twitter, aka X Des Bryant, and you can find me there at FF_Moon Vibes. That's FF_Moon Vibes. Check me out on there. And also, you can see me on CLB Nation, Moon Vibes TV, and Real Ones Productions. So, shout out to y'all. Before we go, K4 got his power rankings. He got Ohio State at number 1, Georgia number 2, Oklahoma number 3.
And
USC
keep in mind, everyone, these are ratings, not
Power
ratings.
ratings, not rankings.
Yeah.
Power ratings. So
Yes.
best teams in the nation.
So style
Okay.
points do matter.
Style points matter a whole lot. So he has Ohio State number 1, Georgia 2, Oklahoma 3, USC 4. That's your top 4. Coming in at 5 is Bama, 6 is Penn State, 7 Florida State, and coming in at 8, LSU. On the outside looking in, 9 and 10. I'm not gonna go through them all, but 9 and 10, Washington and Texas. So before we get out of here, talk about shout out before first and foremost. I want to
Yeah.
put into the show.
Yeah, he's the
But-
ratings czar that I go to.
That's the one I need. But talk to me about what you think about some of these power ratings after 3 weeks of the season heading into week 4.
Well, yeah, there are some things in ratings that are more analytical than the eye test. Because if I'm giving you my rankings right now, it would not be in that order. But with ratings, you have style points. With ratings, you have strength of schedule. And yes, that matters with ranking, but the eye test matters more than anything. Because if we're purely just looking at the eye test, I think anybody would argue that, hey, is Georgia the best team in the nation? After what we seen yesterday, first half, no. Second half, yes. Penn State, I didn't expect them to go into Champaign, Illinois, and win the way that they won. So they would certainly have to be a top 4.
Defense.
Yeah, it was crazy. So it's difficult for me to speak on ratings when there's so many other things, because we saw Alabama yesterday. We saw Alabama last week. They look worse yesterday than they did last week. But Nino told everybody that before the game, so I don't know what else to tell you.
I honestly think when I'm looking at it from the power ratings perspective, the biggest faller for me is Michigan. Like, Michigan is all the way down at 14 in K4's list for power ratings at least.
Yeah, but
And that game against Bowling Green, he gonna dock him for that, of
Right.
course. That
Right.
game
And
against Bowling Green, that East
JJ
Carolina game that
McCarthy.
we was at too.
struggle quite a bit. So yeah, that'll be the difference. But also, there's a team in the Pac-12 that I'm telling everybody to watch out for. There's a team in the Washington Huskies, and they got a slinger and a quarterback, and Michael Penix Jr. And I'm telling you right now, they may be one of the best teams in the nation. Let that be said. Let
Show
the
off
record
in
show.
fireworks. You just did it. You just ended the show off in fireworks.
Hey,
You can't mention Washington without mentioning fireworks. They might as well just be called the New Year's Eve celebration.
facts.
There's just fireworks all galore. The way they're bombing the ball down deep like that, scary.
It is.
Yes, sir.
this has been one hell of a show. I'm going to get ready to set my NFL picks because I ain't set them yet. So I got like 9 minutes to make that happen. So I'm going to holler at my czar Moon Vibe, see if he can get me right, man, so I can make some money this week. We will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's slate, we're starting out with the Armory at 12. What else we got tomorrow? Debbie Darlings, we record. I'm going to try to get that out tomorrow. Also be recording the Hawks Nets tomorrow. I'm going to try to get that out earlier this week. And then we go live for Overreaction Mondays. We'll be live somewhere around 9:40. You guys take care. Enjoy your Sunday. Shouts and salute to college football. College football is undefeated. College football brings us together every Saturday, 14 hours. We were together, and if you watch any of the pregame shows, we're talking about 16, 17 hours of college football. College football is undefeated. You all have a good one.